Hello everybody and welcome back to the Alchemical Arts. This is just a short little update video to sort of explain what's been going on lately, as I've been rather busy and as you may have noticed I haven't put out any videos in the last few weeks. It's not because I haven't been working, it just means that I've been going through a transitioning phase. So what I've been looking at lately is figuring out a way in which I can essentially transition from working the way I had been working in just sort of a part-time hospitality position to seeing if I could find a way in which I could start my own business and really focus in on what I'm passionate about, which is making colour and working with pigments and trying to learn and understand all those things, as well as figuring out some way in which to translate that into a livable income. So not only do I want to find a way in which I can support myself making pigments and working with colour and doing all of the things that I've been enjoying doing through the process of doing this channel, but I've decided that I don't really want to work as a practicing artist necessarily full-time in the art world, dealing with gallery shows and doing all of those sorts of things. As much as I love doing my own painting, the art world is just not for me in that respect. But I would like to still contribute to the art world and I'd like to be involved in it, so from my perspective where I'm at now, producing materials for artists to use is an art in itself, and it's something that I would like to explore and give to the community the option for, you know, interesting colour choices and different methods and stuff like that, not just resources of information but actual materials that people can use. So all that exploration and thought has basically led me to conclude that at this point in time the easiest way I can go from making the pigments that I'm making to something that's usable by an artist is to make watercolors. The reason I decided to focus in on watercolors is I'm not at a stage here where I can produce large volumes of pigment. It's just not feasible at this point in time. As much as I would like to make enough pigment for, say, making oil paints or selling pigments just direct to the consumers or to other oil paint makers, which would also be very fascinating, I just can't do that at the moment. It requires very, very large volumes of pigment to be made, which would require a lot of specialized equipment and a very dedicated space. But micro batches of pigments that I can make translates into a lot of watercolors that I can produce from that, given that, you know, the average size of a watercolor pan is small. This is your average half pan size here. I can produce watercolors that I can get out to artists that they can use and actually experience using the pigments that I've been working through. So I think this is an exciting opportunity to really craft some interesting colors here that will allow watercolorists and, you know, various people who will use those paints the opportunity to experience colors that may not be available through some of the other major watercolor producers in the world and stuff like that. But yeah, so the watercolors seems like a good place to start. Everything's in motion. I've been working very hard at figuring out a business plan and all that sort of stuff, and, you know, all things going well, I could be up and running by as early as November or early December, so that's something to look forward to. It'll also mean that as I develop the business side of things and selling the paints and doing that sort of stuff, I will still be doing these videos and these pigment videos, but they'll actually be in some ways a bit more of a focus to it, in the sense that I'm going to start with a basic array of colours that I will produce that will be available, and as I explore trying to add more colours to the repertoire of what I'll have available, that will allow me to share that exploration process through these videos. So I'll continue doing them as I have been doing them, which is like, we'll pick a pigment, we'll go through how it's produced and that sort of stuff. But this time I'll actually have an end goal, which is I'll be developing a pigment that I want to add to the collection and the range. which I think will be a really fun element to both the video side of things and the, I guess, artist material production side of things, because both the viewers will get to see the process again as it has been continuing, and anyone who ends up purchasing any of the watercolors will also be able to see where it's come from, how I went through my development process, and yeah, I guess the whole point of this was sharing and bringing people into the process. And so the more I do that, the more fulfilling I find it, and hopefully the more fulfilling the audience finds it. So that being said and done as well, there's a whole bunch of other little things that I've been doing and explorations that I will be doing in and amongst all of this stuff, which is I was just gifted some beautiful Iranian madder root, which is still unground and very fresh. It has a very strong earthy sort of smell, and I've been asked to explore the basically I've been asked to, by the guy that's been bringing this into the country for his own purposes, he wants me to put it through my process so that we can compare results of, he does a cold water method process with making the madder, I do the sulfuric acid heated process, and so we're going to cross compare our results. So this is fun. I get to do a little bit of sort of scientific investigation on what the alizarin content and the pseudoperperin content in here is. So that's kind of an exciting little side project that I'm doing as well. As well as I've started a very difficult project of exploring all the various ways of extracting the ultramarine pigment from the lapis lazurite stone. That's a difficult topic. I'll get into that one later. Anyway, this is just a little update video, and I think I'll end it by just asking a few questions and also giving a few outlines of what to expect moving forward. I guess the first question is, are people interested in using my pigments in the form of watercolor paints? Are people happy with the videos, how they're coming out in terms of length and format and so forth? And are there any particular pigments people would like me to consider or look at? Are there any parts of the processes that I have been going through that people would like further elaboration on, whether it's like calcination, precipitation, various things like that? Or would we like to see some actual painting demos, so taking the pigments, turning them into, say, tempera paint and doing some more painting with it? Anyway, let me know in the comments section below. Like, subscribe, and all of those things, and share the posts around if you think this channel is of interest to people that you might know. And stay tuned, later this week we should have the first of the cadmium series coming up, which is exciting because cadmium's a pigment that I really love. It's a thing that I really like to work with, and so there's a lot to explore within the world of cadmium pigments, and so I'm really excited to bring that forth, and we'll see where that goes. Anyway, thank you for watching today, and we'll see you hopefully later in the week.